Welcome to today's Explainer, everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled you're here because today, well, we're embarking on a journey into one of the most cinematic, mysterious, and honestly hotly debated topics in all of human history. Picture this, a majestic, highly advanced empire, just brimming with gold, commanding these vast fleets and wielding incredible power. And then it's completely swallowed by the ocean, leaving virtually no trace behind. It sounds exactly like the plot of a Hollywood blockbuster, right? Or at least a very good excuse for Jason Momoa to put on the Aquaman suit again. But for millennia, brilliant minds have wondered if this incredible story might actually be true.
Okay, let's dive into this. Was Atlantis a real, thriving, breathing civilization that suffered a cataclysmic fate and disappeared beneath the waves? Or is it simply humanity's greatest fiction? A beautifully crafted story that we all just desperately want to believe? That is the ultimate question we're trying to answer today using actual historical texts and modern archaeological investigations as our guide. To get to the bottom of this, here's our quick roadmap. We'll start with history's greatest legend, then trace it to Plato's original account. From there, we'll track the centuries of searching for the city, weigh science versus speculation, and finally, look at an enduring human mystery. Let's get started. Section 1. History's greatest legend. We're unpacking a mystery here that has obsessed not just fringe theorists, but highly respected historians, explorers, and filmmakers alike. You know, it's incredibly rare for a single story to survive for over 2,000 years, let alone grow into a global obsession. What started as a philosophical tale in ancient Greece has completely blown up into this massive cultural phenomenon. It's spread like wildfire, inspiring endless books, massive cinematic documentaries, and countless daring expeditions. The sheer staying power of this legend is a fascinating historical fact in itself, but to understand why this story has gripped humanity for 2 millennia, we need to trace it all the way back to its exact origin.
Moving to Section 2, Plato's original account.
We can't rely on modern embellishments, we have to go strictly to the source. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it anchors the myth directly into our historical timeline. See, Atlantis wasn't pieced together from ancient ruins or discovered on some dusty old map. It was introduced to the world entirely by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato right around 360 BC. He wrote about it in 2 of his famous dialogues, Timaeus and Critias. And according to his timeline, Atlantis existed 9,000 years before his own era. He presented it as a very real, very ancient civilization that challenged the ancestors of Athens.
And Plato didn't just mention it in passing, oh no, he provided highly specific details. He described a spectacular city built on alternating concentric rings of water and land with walls gleaming with this mysterious, precious metal called orichalcum. We're talking about a remarkably advanced civilization with immense wealth, sprawling infrastructure, and most importantly, unrivaled military power. According to the dialogues, this was an empire that literally sought to conquer the known world, dominating its neighbors with sheer force and technological superiority.
But as we all know, the story doesn't end with their triumph. The arrogance of Atlantis angered the gods. And Plato writes that the civilization met its sudden, terrifying end in a single day and night of misfortune. Massive earthquakes and floods completely ravaged the island, and just like that, the majestic empire sank beneath the sea, erased from the world. It is a gripping, emotional narrative of hubris and catastrophic punishment. And it's this very specific, dramatic ending that has fueled centuries of treasure hunters. Let's move to Section 3, Searching for the City, and see how this builds.
Because once you hear a story about a ridiculously wealthy sunken empire, human nature pretty much dictates that someone's going to go looking for it. And look, across the globe they absolutely did. Proposed locations for this lost city literally span the entire planet. Expeditions have scoured the Mediterranean Sea, they've looked off the coast of Spain. Others insist the answer lies in the Azores, right in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, which, well, logically fits the name Atlantis, right? Some of the more extreme theories even propose that Atlantis is buried under the ice of Antarctica. The search rapidly expanded far beyond ancient Greece, generating countless theories based on everyone's varying interpretations of Plato's geographic clues.
But among all these proposed sites, there's one historical theory that really stands out to researchers. And this brilliantly illustrates how ancient myths so often stem from real-world events. Many historians believe the Atlantis legend is actually a distorted, exaggerated memory of the Minoan civilization. See, the Minoans were a highly advanced, super wealthy society in the Mediterranean, and they were utterly devastated by the massive volcanic eruption of Thera, which is modern-day Santorini. Think about it, a wealthy island empire destroyed by a sudden natural catastrophe.
You can easily see how, over generations of storytelling, the very real eruption of Thera could have evolved into Plato's Atlantis.
Which brings us to Section 4, Science versus Speculation. When investigating these kinds of claims, we really have to draw a firm line between objective research and sensationalism. So, the crucial point is this concept right here, the fictional allegory. The leading consensus among modern historians and archaeologists is that Plato entirely invented the city of Atlantis. Why? Well, to serve as a philosophical tool, a fictional allegory created specifically to convey a moral message about the dangers of arrogance, imperialism, and moral decay, contrasted against his ideal vision of an ancient, virtuous Athens. In this view, Atlantis was never meant to be a historical record. Actually, scratch that, it was purely a thought experiment.
When we objectively weigh the evidence, we absolutely have to separate established historical facts from speculative claims. On one hand, we have Plato's actual written dialogues and the rock-solid geological proof of the Thera eruption devastating the Minoans. But on the other side, we're faced with speculative, unproven rumors of highly advanced global empires matching Plato's exact descriptions, or these mysterious underwater ruins that seem to pop up on the internet every few years. As critical thinkers, we have to look fairly at both sides, but ultimately rely strictly on the documented historical facts.
And that leads us to a necessary reality check. No conclusive evidence has ever confirmed the existence of Plato's Atlantis. Despite centuries of searching, despite modern sonar, deep-sea submersibles, and high-tech satellite imagery, the literal city described by Plato remains completely unfound. We investigate ancient civilizations through artifacts, tools, structural foundations, and contemporary texts. But for Atlantis, outside of Plato's philosophy, the archaeological record is completely silent.
Section 5. An enduring human mystery.
So if the physical evidence is completely lacking and the scientific consensus points to allegory, why does this myth utterly refuse to die? Well, its legacy is profound. It continues to fascinate explorers and archaeologists, even if they're looking for the metaphorical truth rather than a literal golden city. It endlessly inspires writers, artists, and filmmakers to create gripping narratives that shape the movies we watch and the books we read today. Ultimately, Atlantis has completely transcended Plato. It's become a timeless symbol of human curiosity. It reflects our deep-seated fascination with the unknown, our primal fear of natural cataclysms, and our romantic hope that there is still magic and mystery left to be discovered in the deep corners of our world.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Is Atlantis just a cautionary tale about the perils of arrogance, exactly as Plato intended? Or is it a powerful symbol of our unending love for a good mystery? Perhaps the real magic of Atlantis isn't found at the bottom of the ocean at all, but in how this single story continues to shape our understanding of history and human nature. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, keep thinking critically about the legends of our past, and I'll see you next time.